Just a few weeks ago, I brought to you reviews for I Spit on Your Grave 2010, I Spit on Your Grave 2 and I Spit on Your Grave 3, the remake trilogy of the 1978 classic film. I'd never watched the original movie until now, and thusly, here's my review for you for I Spit on Your Grave. Is this a film that I regret ever putting on? Let's talk about it. So welcome back to the channel, everyone, and welcome to this here review for the original I Spit on Your Grave movie, which was kindly sent to me as a bootleg version from one of the guys I get my bootlegs off of. He'd seen my videos, he'd seen that I'd reviewed the others, that I hadn't watched the original one, and he kindly sent me a copy of it that he put together and made. So obviously I'm going to watch it, and I did watch it. I sat down and watched it last night. So I'm going to give you my review for this one, and then at the end I'm going to talk about my experiences with the two, which one I prefer out of this or the remake, and that sort of a thing. Yeah, so let's get into this. So this film was released in 1978, and it was actually under the title Day of the Woman, but the film subsequently flopped, and the title change came about in 1980 when it was renamed I Spit on Your Grave. The movie is rated 18 and runs for 1 hour and 41 minutes. As we know, this is quite a controversial movie in that it was banned for a very long time, especially here within the UK. But even that didn't draw me to wanting to watch it when I was a younger person, unlike something like The Exorcist that was banned as well. I had no interest in watching it. The only reason I came about watching the others and now watching this primarily was because the missus wanted to watch them. Yes, so this film here stars Camille Keaton as the main character, Jennifer. Now, she's no relation to Michael Keaton, but funnily enough, she is actually the great niece of Buster Keaton. There we go. The film is written and directed by Miyazaki, who would come back not too long ago to actually give us a direct sequel to this film, I Spit on Your Grave, Deja Vu. Yes. The cast includes 4 other individuals, including Richard Pale, Anthony Nichols, Gunter Kleeman. These are all names that mean nothing to me, I'll be honest. I don't know if they've been in anything else. And I didn't look, is what it is. Now this film here, it's the story of this woman who goes to get away in the middle of these woods, a cabin in the woods sort of thing. She's a writer, an aspiring writer. She's gone there for the summer to write, and whilst there she gets attacked, abused, humiliated by these 4 individuals that leave her for dead. She then subsequently seeks her revenge on them in horrifying manner. That's basically the plot. There's no more to the plot of this film than that. The biggest thing about this film is, did I enjoy it or didn't I? I had issues with this. I had issue with this film. 1 hour and 41 minutes isn't a long film, but this felt like a film that could have been trimmed. It certainly felt like it overstayed its welcome, in that a lot of scenes seemed to be drawn out, and I was sat there thinking, I could edit that, I could edit that. And I'm not talking about scenes of violence or anything like that. I'm talking about just prolonged scenes of scenery and things like this, and getting to places, people get into places, and a constant need to show them getting there. I felt there was a lot of trimming that could have been done, a lot of meat trimmed off of it to make it a bit leaner. The story is exactly the same as pretty much the story in the remake that I watched. However, that does go a bit further, introduces other characters and this sort of thing that are involved in the goings on. But basically you have got this geezer who works at a petrol station, same as. You've got some mates with him, and then you've got a fella who's simple, shall we say, for want of a better term. I don't know if that's politically correct or not. You know, he hasn't got all his faculties, shall we say, and yeah. Now, violence aside, I thought it was pretty tame. Actually, I didn't think it was as bad as what it could have been, or as bad as what I perceived it to have been, given what I'd learnt about historically and on the film. Aesthetically, the film looked nice. I mean, it was, in comparison to the remake, this was very green, very lush looking, and with its surroundings, whereas the remake was very sort of more dowdy looking, not as green, not as fresh, not as nice looking. So that was a nice sort of juxtaposition there. However, the film had I had issues with a lot of this film. The sound design in the film was awful, was god-awful. I mean, when you can tell that the film is being voiced and dubbed in a studio, and things don't sound, you know, as they should, it sounds stupid. When people are chasing her through the woods and doing like Indian sounds, you know, like Red Indian, that sort of thing, Native American sounds, Red Indian, I shouldn't say, it's considered a racist term now. I could just imagine these people behind, in a studio, making these sounds and just looking completely stupid. When they're actually raping the girl, I mean, I don't know if these individuals in this film have actually never physically been with a woman, because it looks like they have. Some of them look like they're having a fit when they're raping this woman. It's so over-exaggerated in their performances, in the way they're moving and flailing their bodies around. It's just stupidness. Some of the back to the sound design and the Foley artists that work on this film. The scene where Jennifer is hanging the first individual. She's put a noose around his neck and she's wrapped it and she's pulling it around some trees, and you get this sound of like what's meant to be the rope stretching and the rope being pulled around something. Seriously, it sounded like they were recording someone who suffered with irritable bowel syndrome and was having a nasty episode. It was hilarious. When she went on her sort of revenge spree, I didn't like the fact that 3 of the individuals fell for a kind of, here I am back, I enjoyed what you've done to me, I sort of forgive you for what you've done to me, so come with me and I want to have sex with you again, kind of a scenario. I didn't sort of, and that happened with the guy who didn't have all his faculties with him, which, okay, probably understandable. The main ringleader of the lot, the gas station attendant, I don't get how he sort of fell for that after wanting her dead. And the guy in the boat, when she climbed up onto the boat, you know, yeah, it's strange film. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy it at all. No, I didn't. As a comparison to the remake one, I thought the remake one was a far better movie, well structured. Obviously, you know, the remake has got far more money behind it. It's not such a cheap film. It's probably made by people more competent at directing and better actors and this sort of thing. But not to take that aside, take that stuff all away, right? I felt that the story was better. It made more sense. It had more narrative flow. It had her being hunted down, them thinking she's dead, as opposed to leaving some geezer without his faculties to go and kill her, then believing that he did do it, and then never going back to check. And they do cover that in the story, that they don't go back because criminals do always return to where they've done something and they didn't want to do that. I get all that, but the first one just was more interesting, and it was more revengey. It wasn't like, I'm now going to use my feminine wiles to try and seduce you again, or not again, but to seduce you after what you've done to me, to get you into a position where I can now exact my revenge. It was a case of I'm gonna exact my revenge. So it worked far better in that sense. So I mean, I came to like I say like, it's a really a word I don't want to use. I didn't mind the remake one. After I watched the three of the remake trilogy, when I watched the third one, I was surprised with what they'd done with it, the story that they took, and it was a pleasant surprise as well. I enjoyed what they'd done there as a follow-up to, you know, this is what's happened to her, and this is how it's affected her mentally and in her day-to-day and all this sort of thing. And it elevated that first film for me. So I prefer that far better than this movie here. Now, had I seen this movie back in the day, would I have liked it? Probably not. I like the whole revenge stuff. I like revenge stories and all that sort of a thing. I don't really want to watch a film where a woman is gang raped for 25 minutes. I even find it difficult in the remake one. It's not something I want to be watching or enjoy watching whatsoever. I don't see how anyone can get any enjoyment out of watching that occur. That being said, when it flips to the revenge stuff, that's where my enjoyment factor comes in. I like revenge sort of stories. But this film here sort of remained pointing in one direction. That dial, instead of going completely into revenge, it still remained in the sexual kind of a connotation kind of area within the film. And that I didn't particularly like all the way through, that she was using that again, and nudity again, to get what she wanted, to get her revenge, because she you know, seduces the guy who isn't all there, with nudity. You see her nude again in the bath with that geezer. All right, that killing was quite chilling. I mean, the killing was chilling. We didn't see, you know, his tackle being cut off. It was all done off this underwater, but I felt his performance was okay at that point. When he was like screaming and bleeding out, I thought that was pretty good. That was about the only bit that I actually thought was pretty damn good in the film. Yeah, not a film for me, unfortunately. But I do appreciate it being sent for me to watch and review. That's fantastic in itself. Always is. Unfortunately, yeah. I think if I were to ever watch them again, it would be the remake trilogy. Just my thoughts. Tell me your thoughts on this film down below. Is it a film that you have in your collection? Is it a film that you like? If you're a horror fan, is this a sort of film that you gravitate towards? Do you have a preference for the remake or for this one? Again, let me know in the comments. Why not? I shall see you all later. Take care all, and goodbye.